Hi, I'm Little Woo, and this is Woohoo Wednesdays, a time for me to address a life question that I've received and give a little piece of insight or inspiration for your week. This week's question is how to cultivate understanding and compassion for those who are not being true to their word and who do not honor agreements. First thing I would talk about is that there's actually several layers in terms of understanding someone when they're not being true to the word. The first level of understanding is that it's not personal. If you recognize that whenever someone is not honoring an agreement, that's something reflecting a deeper issue in their psyche that's going far beyond your relationship and far beyond that job or whatever the situation is. It goes deeper than that, so it's not personal to you. It's not just because they're trying to hurt you. So that's the first level of understanding, and that's a really great level because you don't even need them to explain anything. You don't need to hear all the stories behind why they weren't able to honor their word. Once you recognize that someone is not able to honor their word, then you can just take that first level of understanding and say, this isn't personal. This is actually just my ability to see that this person is having trouble with this. They're not able to honor their word. So your first level is just knowing it's not personal and that your discernment is accurate and that you can honor yourself. By the second level of understanding is, well, it is personal in that your second level is how do you respond? How do you respond with your integrity and with compassion? And compassion doesn't mean being a doormat. It doesn't mean that you keep working with someone who's just not reliable, who's not trustworthy, who's not being true to the word. It doesn't mean you have to keep working with that. Compassion is not a passive thing where you just let people do things to you. Compassion is having your heart stay open even when people do the things that they do. So when you understand that this is an issue that goes far beyond the workplace or the relationship between you, that it goes deeper into their life history, into what happened to them that made it difficult for them to make clear choices in life. There's many reasons why people aren't able to honor agreements, and some of them are actually because they're actually really good people and they're trying to take on too much. Or there's other reasons where they might feel that the world is not a very good place, so they struggle with understanding that the integrity of their actions really does matter because they haven't seen much integrity in their childhood or from the authority figures in their life. So there's a lot of reasons why people don't honor their agreements, and it's not personal. So that was the first one. The second level is it is personal in that you must decide how you're going to respond. If you want to respond with compassion because you understand them, then your compassion can be to speak with them about their situation, maybe offer advice on how they can help themselves by maybe making different choices. And the other way you can help is by not working with them in the areas in which they are not able to honor. So if you can tell that they're not reliable around returning money that they've borrowed or certain things that you can see that they just struggle with, then you don't need to engage with them that way. You can engage with them in other ways. So you're not cutting them out completely from your life, but you're able to just recognize, oh, this is a weak spot, and this is how I can work with them. And some people might say, well, if they lack integrity there, I don't want anything to do with them. And that's another level of response that you can have. It's just that you're not ready. You're not ready to have compassion. You don't have the energy, perhaps. So we all have different levels of energy, and we have different levels of compassion depending on what has happened in our own life. So if you've ever had struggles honoring a commitment and it's the same type as this person, you might have more compassion. I used last time the example of someone who is perpetually late because it's a really a common one, and it's not a very harsh situation, so I like to talk about it because it's not as triggering. But if you've ever had troubles being on time, then you know all the reasons why that happens. You know that maybe you have a habit of losing your keys every time you go out the door, that it's around bad habits around where you put things, and that's why you're always late. Or maybe you just have this habit of looking at the internet one more time before you go out. And by being on the internet, you just lost track of time. There's all kinds of innocuous reasons why you might be late, and you know the reasons because you live them. And so you might have more compassion for someone, and then you might actually be able to offer suggestions or be willing to talk to them about their their difficulties. So it really depends on what your resonance level is. Like, is it something that you understand? Is it something that you have energy for? Do you actually have the compassion for? Because if you don't, it's okay for you to not have to force that out of yourself, because you can learn slowly over time to build that compassion without having to force it. So because forced compassion is not real. Real compassion comes from real understanding. So I hope that that helps about like 2 layers of understanding around people who aren't honoring their word, and a little bit of how you can respond. Hi Kristen, Fong, Kyle, Fiona, Normarai. If you have any comments or questions, please post on this thread. I will answer actually during the video if I can, if I have another minute right now, or I can answer after the thread is over, and I'll repost this video on my website as well. You know, people often think that compassion is this thing that makes you weak and makes you be taken advantage of, but not at all. In fact, it makes you very clear at discerning whether you want to work with someone or not, if you have the energy, and you actually are so clear on your responsibility around this person that you don't take on extra. You know, you don't take on the extra responsibility of having to fix them, or having to fix the relationship. You just decide what you want to do based on your energy levels, and you don't do it with all this guilt inside, because you have a discernment. This is something that they're dealing with. I have compassion for that, and I have to have compassion for myself. Maybe I'm just struggling in life right now too, and I just don't have the energy to really take on someone who's perpetually late or someone who's perpetually unreliable. If you're running a business, you have to look at your energy levels. Do you have the time or energy to mentor this person? It's not your responsibility. It would be part of your life force if you have it to give. But if you don't have to. Each person has their own relationship with their heart, and if they keep getting feedback from people in the universe that their actions are not okay, then they have a chance to wake up. So every time you say, no, I can't accept this behavior, you're actually helping someone wake up. But if you say no with hatred in your heart, without compassion, it can still help them, but it also harms you, because then you're not able to move forward with an open heart, and then you actually shut yourself down from other relationships and opportunities, and you can also re-attract the same situation over and over again. If you start to have a fear or contraction around people who constantly don't, if you start to broadcast that idea as a commonality of all humans, that everybody is not reliable, and that tends to happen. We tend to generalize a few experiences towards the whole population. Be careful not to generalize that, because then you're going to start attracting that out of people. Even reliable people might be a little bit unreliable in your eyes, because you'll read everything as unreliable, or you'll attract it out of them because of your tension. So I won't get into how that works, but that it is a principle of how the universe works. Please send me your questions by email at treasures@littlewoo.org, or on Facebook at littlewoo.muse. And if you want to learn more about my courses and private sessions, you can visit my website at littlewoo.org and join my private email list for little special giveaways. I'm going to be giving away something really soon called the Magical Sabbatical, Making Time for Yourself. I'm really excited because I've been working on this and trying to figure out all the bugs, and I'm hoping to send it out in the next few days. So join my list if you want to get access to this free online course. Bye! Mwah.